Hello and welcome to the Chivalry to Survivor run. Today's map is Coxwell and I'm playing with a requested weapon, the heavy mace. Unfortunately I'm playing as a defender because sometimes it's challenging to join the game in progress where the attacker's slot is open. So that's additional challenge as this map is definitely attacker biased. Without further ado, let's comment the run itself. So in the beginning you see that heavy mace is one of those two-handed weapons, like axes. But the only difference is usually your normal hits does not go for the enemies. At least that's what the description says too. However, this is not completely true, because if you land the last hit on the enemy and it was a light hit, then it would still go through the enemy, because for some reason when you connect on the enemy and it becomes sort of a corpse, then basically your weapon, light hit, goes through the enemy. So yeah, additional thing to know about the mechanic of Chivalry. Other than that, having your hits performed faster because they do stop on the contact with the enemy with the light hits, means that you can do quicker combos. However, that does not necessarily mean that you can spam and the enemy cannot retaliate. No. If the enemy does any sort of counter or riposte, he can still hit you without a problem. However, it's still a bit counterintuitive when the hits are being sort of comboed that quickly. So now a guy, again, trying to defend this objective. Not the easiest place to. As well, have in mind that I'm not very good with this weapon, to be honest. I haven't practiced too much, so I know that there are people who are really good at it, and they do usually do incredible drags, but that's not me. I'm, let's say, okay user of this weapon. So now we actually lost the first objective, so the best way is to go back. The safest way is to do the forward spawn on this map, so this is how I do it. By hiding next to the Chieftain Coop. And I'm immediately put next to the ballista, so which is additional bonus. Now I can get some free kills. However, folks are not completely happy from my team that I did take the ballista, so they do try to hit me once, but that's not a problem. I don't mind. So already one archer down. Also, guys do try to jump in an attempt to dodge my ballista shot. You see, that's a third jumper in a row, and all three of them died. So it does not help if you aim at around body level, but if you aim at leg level, then definitely you would have missed the shot. Again, guys trying to get the ramp up, so probably the easiest ones that you can target. Also some folks who are actually reloading up the crossbows, also very vulnerable for that. You just need to know a bit about ranging. But anyway, this run is mostly about the heavy mace. But still, if you can get free kills, why not do that? That helps your team too. So already I can't really count how many shots in a row landed, but it's a really good weapon, the ballista. So whenever defense enjoys an abundance of ballistas, then the map is usually defender biased, but not this one. That's just measly 4 ballistas on this map. Definitely not enough. Anyway, we lost the gate. The gate was broken down, so we tried to sort of circle around and find an opening. Again, not only I have to sort of play with this weapon, but also try to survive, and for this reason I can't really go in gung-ho into the hordes of the enemies. Instead I have to rely on going in, delivering some damage, and retreating when I can. But unfortunately for defensive runs, it means that I have to stay safer more, and I have to retreat earlier. So for this reason, defensive runs are a bit of a lackluster in terms of action, because you have to, just because of the disadvantage of being overrun if you stand in one place and objective has moved. So yeah, also you saw that I'm able to get additional kills just by throwing my throwing daggers. Don't underestimate your throwing items. They do really good damage, especially against enemies that are low HP. So if you can, just use them. I mean, there's a reason they are in your loadout. Not for chasing enemies, but if you see a big blob, just throw a few, and then just take your trusty primary weapon. Yeah, use your throwing weapons, it's quite important. Also, if you don't know, on this map it is possible to carry back the gold crate back to the cart, like that. And that gives a small bonus to your objective points at 75. So yeah, otherwise, again, I have to always calculate the odds when engaging or not. I saw 3 enemies and 2 friendlies. Now I see 3 enemies and 2 friendlies, still the same amount. Got rid of 1 and also 1 friendly died. Now I have to reassess the situation, so there's more friendlies. So now I can go inside and deliver damage. See, it's all about calculation and situational awareness. In this case, it's calculating the odds of engagement in terms of simply overpowering the enemy or not. Really good drags by the enemy. Also, there is a handing item over me, so we have to be careful, because that one item can insta-kill me. So already 21 kills, but not just with the mace. Also received quite a few with ballista. Still, you saw I delivered a few hits, but did not really pushed onto delivering damage or receiving kills. It just doesn't make sense when there are so many enemies out there. Always have to be on the lookout for more enemies. Now I saw that a heavy swing from the side delivers 90 damage to the knight, which means 2 of those can get rid of the enemy knight. If you mix up, the heavy overhead delivers 105 points worth of damage. So still compared to a war axe, it's something around the similar damage, but it's definitely better than, for example, executioner axe in terms of overheads, just overheads. So otherwise, again, it's like an axe, but with a small quirk that it's not, the hits does not go through the enemies, so the normal hits, that is. And also, I already told you about one exception when even normal hits can go through the enemies. So, and that again, very similar weapons in terms of mechanic and whatnot to the axes. So with a good armor damage amplification against the knight. So a light overhead delivers 75 damage. So in comparison, you know, 75, that's only against a knight class. But if you take a greatsword, for example, it delivers 70, a flat 70 without any damage amplification for armor classes. But that's that means that it delivers more damage to other 2 classes, the footman and also unarmed class, the vanguards and archers. So yeah, so again, that's why I like greatsword more than those maces and other peculiarities. Yeah, so yeah, I try to always benchmark against greatsword. If it's not as good as greatsword, I'm sort of not particularly happy with that weapon. Also, the range is worse than a greatsword, but yeah, again, some people like it, so I'm not saying it's a bad weapon, I'm just saying I'm not very good, not proficient, and also it's not user-friendly for newbies, so for newbies definitely take an axe, a war axe for example, or a battle axe. Yeah, or a sword, I think they are better choices. But I've seen that people do use this weapon in duels. I mean, somebody commended. I mean, I do play League Wars. So some of the guys there commented that the heavy two-handed mace has sort of one of the weapons that delivers most of the stamina damage to the enemy if they are blocking. Again, not sure if that's true or false, but that's what they said. By the way, just FYI again about that League War. So there is a server called the Citadel in Discord where the League Wars are happening. You might ask what is it. So it's an additional overlay, let's say, additional level of Chivalry 2 where you can play in a sort of strategic map, make a decision and so on, and then you are put inside in different maps depending on where you assault and so on. So yeah, that's how it's played, and then based on that the strategic map changes also. So yeah, if you think and like role playing like that, you can join that. But just FYI, I mean, folks there are sweats, I mean, incredible sweats. Some of them are the hardest ones I've seen. Really struggle there. I'm not saying I'm completely useless, but I'm just saying you know, far from being on the top of the scoreboard, somewhere in the middle. And even then, you know, again, dueling is quite tough there. I mean, those guys usually play on dual servers, not TO and so on. So that means that if you meet them one-on-one, it's, you know, you have slim chances of surviving. Definitely you can call them sweats, and that's what they are. Anyway, without further ado, I think we need to go back into commenting this run itself. So yeah, so two-handed mace is one of the most popular weapons what I've seen in those dual yard servers. You know, just before warm-up for the League Wars. But yeah, again, not my favorite. Again, I lack you know, a customization with the animation. And as well, I generally feel like there are better weapons that can deliver a bigger punch. At least that's why it is not a TRC weapon, at least not for TO. It might be for duels, but again, I'm not the one to comment. I'm not very good at it. And I'm okay, but not very good. So yeah, now objective has moved, so it is possible to jump over the barrels next to the wall. However, it's a bit risky. If you miss time your jumps, then you won't be able to jump over. And for this reason, it's again easier to do forward spawn, like so. However, this time you won't be able to make it onto the ballista. In the middle, I had to condition the battlefield, so in case some folks are trying to use those one-hit items, the ones that are hanging above your head. So you need to ensure they're already activated, because this is the place where defenders usually are. So if they are killed, it's not very cool. Unfortunately, some friendly also ran through that side, and that unfortunately also got him killed. Oh well, still have to condition the battlefield. Now, additionally quirk, I didn't want to throw my secondary weapon. However, if you run out of throwing items and then you pick them, you know, go to the ammo crate and you pick them up, then that doesn't mean that they are already available. So you have to reselect them. Yeah, that's additional quirk. Not sure if it's intended or not, but that's how it is. Trying to defend an archer, but it's still tricky. I see we're already, there's still 3.5 minutes left, and we're already 1/3 or even 40% down on our tickets. And have in mind that we have only as much to go, and then knights will not be spawning anymore. Anyway, also good server. You saw that a lot of hits are not landing and being blocked or counted perfectly. So yeah, need to prepare for the final assault with 3 minutes left. We still have sort of half of the tickets, but still it's a bit misleading, this number, saying that half of the garrison remains, because I mean, once there's only 1/4 left, then knights are no longer spawning, only the peasants. So that's additionally problematic, because peasants cannot defend as well as the knights. Some duels, again, you see, not bad players all around in the server. Really not bad players. Can defend pretty well. Need to quickly replenish my HP. Also, I see that the right side is being attacked quite substantially by the enemies. But now, with another spawn wave, probably ultimate or penultimate spawn wave, we'll push them back on the right side. However, on the left, I mean, we can't contest it now, and that's not yet the final, wave yet. So probably ultimate. And now finally we have no more knight spawning. So that's problematic. Again, it will be tough to defend with 2 minutes left. So I have to observe the battlefield and see where the enemies are, and try to assist, but not too much. Again, I have to be on the lookout for my life and also the HP I have. I see that right side also have okay progress, but on the left side we already have folks next to our spawn, so I have to get rid of them first. If possible, also receive the hit. So now there are no hanging items, so it is relatively safe to heal here. But again, might be enemies throwing stuff and so on. So almost all of the knights are gone. So I use a trick to go back. And I'm able to hide a bit, stall a bit, the timer. No, but still there are 50 seconds left once I go back. And somehow I'll have to survive. So this is still quite a monumental, probably unachievable task. Again, got rid of one enemy. 2 enemies, but that's not enough, you see. I mean, they just keep on coming. And that's how I die. A really tough challenge, but I hope I gave you some pointers about 200 mace. Otherwise, there's 39 kills on my tally, and yeah, I lost at the very last second of the map. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. See you next time.